and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, hello. Ooh, why does it look so pink? How are you all? Hello. Why is that so pink? Look at that. Did you see the change, the color change? Look at watch the white in my hands. See how it turns blue? Pink. The struggles. Hey Shem, hey Amy, hey Hannah. Oh, I hope not, Amy. Okay, so I spent some time prepping things yesterday by unstitching the quilting on a few pieces that I'm going to explain in a little bit. I did not get to stitching the perimeter of these quilted pieces, and it's already coming undone. Hey Blair. So I'm going to do that a little bit, especially on the pieces I'm going to be handling today, just to make sure, that I don't have any issues. I went up the front on this side, so I'm going to go up the front on this side too. I can already see it's going to be, the quilting is going to be interesting to deal with. So a little bit of noisy ASMR to start the stream with. Oh yeah, there you go. It's really hard when you get close to these, the middles of these things right here. You can see it's like kind of torquing a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I can totally see the stitching is coming undone here. I feel like I should have done bigger seam allowance. Pretty sure this is 3/8. Trying not to get it to fold over on itself. This is where the dart is right here. How are you all? I know Amy's not feeling so good. It's a bummer. Okay. This thread is not bugging me so much. It doesn't really match. Like, it is an olive green, but it doesn't match like the green of this. But I wonder if it would bug me. I have like 3 different olive threads. I didn't want to waste my olive thread that does match, so that's why I'm using this. Hey Miranda, how's it going? Yeah, I have to do a little bit of prep here because, oh, I lost my pin. Oh no, I didn't. There it is. Okay. Because I didn't stitch around the perimeter of this quilting and it's already coming undone. So, okay, but here's something I did. So I took the welt, remember the little opening of the welt pocket that I'm going to do? I unstitched the quilting. I took the batting, I peeled it apart and got half the batting, and then I cut it in half. So I just have this very thin wispy piece that I'm going to use. I'm going to fold it over like this. I mean, look at that. You can't even tell. You can see that if you look close, see there's the quilting right there. But on this side, look at, looks really nice, doesn't it? I also interfaced it. So, that's one of the little things I did. I also did something similar. I'm trying to keep my pieces kind of straight here. On the little front little piece right here. That I think, oh, I want to put the, what is this? There we go. This little thing right here, I did the same thing, kind of. I took out the quilting. I had already aimed for a side. You can see it on this one. I had aimed, like, see how there's quilting here? I already aimed for having the visible side not looking quilted, right? But then I just unquilted it. It's so easy to take out the quilting. Like, really, really easy. Like, way too easy. That's why I'm having trouble, like, why I'm securing everything. Again, I interfaced the piece and I peeled apart the batting so I got a thinner layer. So I may use this piece back here and still fold it like this. Or I might just use this. I'm going to see how it is with the ribbing. So I did that as well. Hey Diane, how's it going? Hey Mullen. Hey Terry, I don't know if I said hi. Yeah, I think so with the welting. All right, and then here's another thing I did. For the facing, I just took it apart. You can see the shadow of the quilting there, right? And then interfaced it. So I have my facings now with matching fabric, right? And so, yeah. There we go. The only other person I know who bought this fabric, theirs was a different color, was Christine Haynes. I think I mentioned this yesterday. She doesn't know me from anybody. But I messaged her. She's probably like, I don't care, lady. But I messaged her. I was like, hey, just so you know, I know you're the other person that bought this. If you unquilt it and iron it, it actually looks pretty good. So, and it took the fusing pretty well too. I felt like it might have been shrinking a little bit, you know. So, okay, I'm just going to secure this too. I won't get to the sleeves today, so I'm just gonna hope that they stay safe in my bin, and I will secure those by Saturday before we sew them. But yeah, this quilting's coming undone. I was not being alarmist when I said secure that quilting. If you don't and it gets like into here past your seam line, what are you going to do? You have to sew it again, and you have to have thread that matches, and I don't have, like, I don't want to do that on all these little, like, a bunch of, you'd have, like, a bunch of little, like, spots all over your jacket where you're trying to secure that quilting. So hopefully this will help. I should probably be using a shorter stitch length. Well, we're gonna try and secure some of this before the end of the day, so it'll be good. Ooh, this one's getting kind of far. Let's pull this over. Yeah, this one's getting kind of far. Almost done. this one's getting far too. I don't think I got it. Oh man. Oh yeah, all of these are coming undone. Ooh, I can see it coming undone. Just a little tug. Probably because I'm so noisy, Shim. I mean, it is a weekday, you know. Where's that one? Right there. That's the hazards of dealing with quilting. Okay, that feels a little better. All right. All right. We're riveted by the quilting, by the stay stitching. Yep. All right, we'll put that. Oh, my camera. Did I bonk it? Oh, I must have bonked it. Here we go. I got it. Whoops, whoops. Yeah, I know. Activate. I pressed it a few times too quickly too. Well, you're gonna do that, huh? This camera's starting to give me some trouble. Deactivate. I'm gonna give it a second before I activate. There we go. I have this one camera in a little longer of a cord, but I think it's the camera itself going into the cord because it was giving me a little bit of trouble before I put it into this longer cord, and it's just so I could use it on my serger and stuff. Did I do that? Can't remember. That. And this to make my hands look super unflattering. Look at the difference. This is default, right? Ooh. My hands look way better in person. They're not the most attractive hands. They do look better in person. You're not enough, Julie. Okay, let's get going. I can't find my my pin cushion. Like I have this one here, you know, but my usual one is, I don't know where it is. Like it fell or something. It's so weird. Okay, let's try and go in the order of the instructions. Engage with your audience. Oh, I see why I was saying that. Dang it, I keep grabbing this thread. It's gonna be one of those streams, I think. Your favorite kind. Dramatic. All right, that bobbin's almost wound too. All right. So, I have a handy dandy magnet board here now. I feel fancy. Let's put it like this. Nice. Can't even see that, can you? Hey, Michelle, how's it going? Nap sounds nice. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is that hem band, you know, the one that goes in front of the ribbing, which I think is this one right here. And you're facing, your center front facing. So now I kind of need to decide, am I going to do all 3 layers? I think I'm just going to do these 2. Just the one, like the peeled apart batting and this outer, just like that. So my cutting looks terrible. So that's the other thing I'm going to tell you about is, oh, and, well, just a second. Cutting quilting is really hard to do accurately. You're probably going to do a way better job than I did under a camera because I also was like reaching and not on top of it because I try not to be under the camera. So that being said, what I recommend if you haven't cut out quilted fabric is weight it down in many places. Get that outer edge as flat as possible so it's not going to kind of go zoop like that, or you might get uneven things. So this, like when I unquilted this and pulled it all apart, this was like jagged. It was pretty bad. Hey Ann, how's it going? And so that's why I like look at my interfacing is pretty far off. See that? I'm just gonna go with it, it'll be fine. But that is why you're gonna see this, is because the interfacing piece was cut very accurately. So then I laid this under the pattern piece again and trimmed off any excess. So yeah, that's why it looks a little funky. Yours is gonna look better, like I said. All right, so we're gonna put this right sides together and sew this. And let's see, what are our seam allowances? I'm assuming 3/8, right? I like my magnetic board. Okay. 3/8. Killing me with the 3/8, Christina. All right. Right sides together. I'm actually going to line that up to the interfacing, as crazy as that sounds. We're going to sew this together. My needle feels a little long, or a little big. All right, I'm going to take this one. And same thing. So we're just taking this facing here, and we're going to sew it right sides together at the bottom. This batting feels a little thicker, so I'm just going to peel a little bit more of it off. It wasn't very even. Oh, and I need to make sure. Oh, I did. Okay. You probably can't tell, but like this side has some needle holes still. So I want this side. Well, wait, what side do I want? I actually probably want the needle holes towards this. That's probably what I want. Yeah. I need to undo the other one. It's not that noticeable, but you know, why not, right? Hi, Sydney. How's it going? I saw you had a lot of deer in your front yard. Are they getting hungry coming into town? Or is it just because spring is springing and they're like, ooh, there's so many good things to eat. I mean, deer, there are so many deer here in Paradise. And, you know, the town is like, it's like, I mean, there's just like a tiny fraction of the people that were here, right? There's like 1,000 people, I think now, out of, 25,000 that were there, or something like that. I don't know. I might be wrong about, that's more than 1,000, maybe 3,000. The deer have the run of the town. I see them everywhere in big packs, like you'll see like 5 or 6 together very often, and it is not the same group. It's pretty funny. All right, we're gonna put this right sides together to the side that has the stitching, because I think this is gonna go on the inside. And the other one's going to go to the rib. I think so too. I think it should have a bigger seam allowance. I don't think that this necessarily called for, pre-quilted fabric though. All right, and then it says to press the seam down. All right, when we go to the iron, we'll press that. All right, and so now press the seam allowance on the front edge 5/8 of an inch. I did not interface my center front because it's quilted. On the front edge and on the front facings. Why are we going to do that? I'm kind of curious. Are we going to like stick the zipper in and edge stitch it down, do you think? I'm like, huh. Oh, you have a green belt. That's a highway. That's a deer highway. That's pretty cool. I love it when they're hanging out together. Safety in numbers. I see, like they will take their babies over here and take a nap right here. And this is like this little like gully. It's not even a gully. It's just like this space between the library and me. And it's not really a path to the street. People will do it, but it's not really technically a path. So the deer hang out there, and it's kind of cute. The little babies will take, they have little spots. It's so cute. We have tons of turkeys. We had one just today, just hanging out by our bathroom. Work is ridiculous. 90% drain. Oh, did they ever hire back any of the people? You guys, you lost so many people. I'm going to wait to do this 5/8 inch step because it's quilted fabric, so that's why. Basically, I don't really think that that will help me very much. All right, so we're about to do this welt pocket, but we're also going to do this dart first. All right, so this feels so much better now that I stitched all the edges. Like, it just feels good. Oh, you mean he ran into him, like bumped into him? I thought maybe you meant with the car. All right, where's my cuts? There they are, barely visible. Have you ever done a dart in quilted fabric? I haven't. Will I get any weird, sorry, will I get any weird like tucks if I'm not careful? Maybe. Not on your team. No, no rehires. Well, I guess some of them probably found jobs too. It is tough right now in the job market. Okay, this is really strange doing quilts. I'm going to take a peek at my dart. All right, and then I'm going to sew back into it just in the meat of the dart instead of hand tying it like that. Okay, that looks good. No tucks. I was a little worried. When I was sewing around the perimeter, see, I'd almost get like a little tuck, like it would go like this, like lap over that quilting, right? They were all just having a while. Man, the deer have gotten so bold, haven't they? Where's the notches for my dart? I literally can't see that. One time when I was going, this is probably a story I've never told you guys, but it's been a while, and Nancy's the only one that'll have heard it. One time I was going to my book club. This was a long time ago when I was in a book club and lived somewhere else. And this person lived, I mean, everybody kind of lived rurally there, you know, like it wasn't that rural, you know, but it was. And they kind of did. They kind of lived where there was just more property, lots of houses, but a lot more property. And I got out of the car and we had to like walk across like a gravel area and, you know, it's like redwood trees everywhere, right? It's like forest. And someone else arrived when I did. And we were both walking up to the house and through the gravel, which is always awkward walking in gravel. And it was kind of like, it was kind of a distance, not very far. The hostess, came out and was on the porch, and we all noticed this deer right over there. And me and this other person are holding our like food dish, right? So it's always like your hands are occupied. It is a breakable item. It's hot food, whatever. It's not something you can just start sprinting with or just drop. And and the owner's dog had come out. This deer, you guys, just booked it to that dog and went after it. And it wanted that dog. Like, it was not having it. It was, I see a threat and I'm taking you out. And it ran right in front of us. So the dog and the deer are right in front of me, and this person's sitting there like, and it had a huge rack. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. I thought I was about to witness something terrible. And I'd never been afraid of a deer in my entire life, you know. Hey, Walter. So it must have had its baby nearby. You literally just watched me clip this. Where is the clip? And it was nuts. I never forgot that. Big clip. Big clip. There we go. Yeah, it was, I remember the dog ran off. The deer went after the dog. My friend, the hostess, was like, hurry, hurry. Come on. And I was like, oh my God, are you, I don't know. I'm kind of scared. And I'm one of those like people that every animal loves me. I'm not bragging. I'm not kidding. Every animal loves me. I have only one time come across a dog that didn't like me. And I was so shocked because it never happened to me before. Every time an owner's like, my dog's not friendly, just steer clear. The dog loves me. And they're like, I've never seen that before. Like, I'm that kind of person. I am not afraid of anything with animals, ever, never afraid. So it was the weirdest thing to be afraid, and it was a deer, you know? Okay, taking a peek, no tucks. Okay, maybe I don't have to worry about tucks with a quilted dart. Looks pretty good. You can see a little bit my needle hole where the pin was, though. Hopefully that'll just kind of like go away eventually. There's a little bit of shaping in my quilted jacket. I don't know if that was necessary for me, but it'll be good. All right, so now we're gonna do our welt pockets. And basically when I do welts, I like to, I always cut the hole in something. I just cut the hole straight up in the pattern piece, right? I have some chalk here. You probably can't see it. There's like a little dash right here. Barely see that. 2 dashes here and a dash there. And that's basically the rough outline of my pocket here, all right? And then the other place I draw it on is the lining, because the lining is really what you're gonna be sewing on. So I don't really go to town marking it on my jacket, because then you have to try and line up these 2 boxes, and it's really hard to do that sometimes, right? Isn't it? I think so too. I think it looks really good with it. It doesn't look that great on camera, but it does in person. See, it's like a little, let's see if I can shade it. You can see there's like a little meadow, and these are little green stems and things. It's really sweet, and it almost looks like a Liberty, but it is a stretch. It's very stretchy. Yeah, it might be, Sydney. But I told her, I was like, all right, is it too warm? You know, like, she's like, nope, let's do it. So she was down. Okay, so we're gonna mark our, we're gonna mark our hole on this thing. And I'm gonna go by this piece, not my pocket pattern piece, because this is more important. I need to fold this. It's bumping into stuff up there, just so it doesn't do that. All right, so I've got the pocket wrong side up. I'm gonna lay my jacket on here. Like I said, this is like easy welt stuff. Not even a real welt, right? Not even a real welt. The poplin stretch is kind of giving me a problem here. So we're just going to draw our rectangle on here. Dang, the stretch is making it a little hard. All right, there's one. And let's do this one. We're not talking about a couture, you know, jacket. Try-harding, man. Okay. You know what's really funny is that cropped jacket I just made by Assembly Line. I love that thing so much. I totally forgot I got to send that to Hearts. I've worn it so many times and I've washed it and I went, okay, I gotta send this to them. I can't just keep like wearing and watching this. It won't look that great. All right, so we have our pocket, right? And it's gonna line up. And you know, I don't even really have to worry about the marking on the jacket because this pocket, this is what's great about this kind, is when it's anchored in the seams here, all you have to go by is this piece, right? It needs to line up here. So it's the easiest kind of pocket. All right, we're gonna prepare our little flap. And this little flappy thing is what makes this kind of welt really easy. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna sew our little welt right sides together only on the ends here. So I have this, mine's gonna be a little fiddly because of the batting. All right, so we're gonna sew this together on the ends. And I'm actually gonna check the width right now before I sew the other one. It needs to fit inside this box. It cannot be bigger. You can't make it happen if you make it bigger. This is one of the keys with this. But don't make it, you know, too small either. Yes, there's a little bit of precision happening here. All right, we're just gonna double check it with the box. That, I feel, is doable. Same thing. All right, with the other side. If you're really nervous or you have like a really thick fabric, like if you're doing like wool melton or something like that, sometimes what I'll do is I will make it a little, noticeably a little smaller, and it won't matter because the thickness of that wool will fill up that gap. I also sometimes will taper it like 1 stitch width at the fold here. So go from here, from this cut edge towards the fold at an angle. Try not to do that though, because when you go to secure this little guy later, you don't want it to be too hard, and that can make it a little harder. All right, so let's check. That's doable. All right, now we're gonna trim these corners down. I'm gonna trim the little edge just to be flush a little bit. I tried to post something in the guild today, and I hate lately when I have a post like almost completely done, I'll navigate away to add one more picture. It will erase everything I did. And it did that twice to me today. So I was like, yeah, this isn't happening. All right, so now we're gonna turn it right side out. This is kind of sagging down, so let's push it up like this. All right, same with this. So one of the things when I sewed the Murcot vest for Cashmerette, one tip I have when you're doing this kind of welt pocket, no matter what the pattern says, don't cut this hole, this opening, much wider than 3/4 of an inch, all right? If this is 2 inches, if this is 1 inch, if this is 1.5 inches, it doesn't matter. This hole only needs to be a 1/2 inch minimum, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. It does not need to be the same width as the whole welt. Some people do that and they like it like that, but if you're not really into sewing these, or maybe your fabric is really fiddly, one little workaround is if you make that hole smaller, then what happens is when you're all done right here and your welt's sitting here like this, if your hole is the same width as this thing, you might see it right here peeking, right? So if you have a narrower hole right here, right, it'll cover up the whole thing. This is why I didn't do a facing at the back of this pocket, because we're gonna cover up the entire opening. All right, so now what we need is to sew this to the jacket, and I'm trying to secure my batting to stay in there. And I do have a right side of this. So I'm going to edge stitch this first to secure the batting. The all coming in clutch there. So I'm just pushing that batting up to that fold line, pulling it down like this. Trying to not take no for an answer there. Get this in there. All right. So if you're doing the side seam pockets and you're going to sew the side seam pockets, just use the instructions because they're great, and you can sew them like they're side seam pockets on pants or anything like that. And then your pocket is, I think it does line up to this, maybe right here, maybe, and it's a curve. So you don't have to do the welt. Oh, you did, Terry? Nice. Is it one you've sewn before? Okay, is this the side I want up, or is this the side? I want this one up. All right, so we're gonna put this, well, if you have a right, or like maybe you have a print you're trying to match or whatever, you wanna put this, that side, that right side that you want facing out, you wanna put that down, and we're gonna put it upside down. We're gonna line up this cut edge between where that rectangle is, which you probably can't see on my garment here. And then I'm gonna poke this into, let me just draw it so you can see it a little better. I just don't want the chalk to stay forever. I also misplaced my little ruler. Oh, here, I can use this. Okay, so let me draw my can you see that a little better? Oh, okay, so McCall's. Oh, great. Oh, yeah, I think I remember that. Okay, so now we're going to put this, like I said, right side down, raw edge up. This is the bottom of this rectangle, so it's this edge right here, okay? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and we're going to put this edge 1/4 of an inch that way, right? So we're going to, because this opening is our stitch line. So we're going to put this raw edge 1/4 of an inch past, just like that. See that? My opening does not look this big on my fabric, does it? This should be exactly the same size as your opening. All right, so we're going to do 1/4 inch pass, just like this, just like this. Make sure you do your best to get it even on both sides, because this is one of those things that when this little flap looks uneven, you might be a little disappointed later. Okay, and we're just going to stitch it down nice and straight. Nice even seam allowance, like that, all right? And then right now, just check it right now and say, okay, does this look the same from, end to end, right? You can see this little bubble there because the fusible interfacing probably didn't fuse right there, which I'll try and catch later. And then that one's ready, okay? We'll go all the way through this one. All right, so now we're going to put this on top, and we're really hoping that this line that we drew on here, we're gonna do this right sides together, is going to line up to where we just sewed this flap. I'm gonna pin around it because of the quilting. So now, we're not going to sew this, we're not sewing this like it's a welt that sits inside the window, right? It's just a flap, so it's gonna cover up everything, which is great. The key with these is that when we sew this rectangle, we do not whatsoever want to, when we turn and go along the short ends, we do not want to catch the seam allowance. Do not catch the seam allowance. It will show on the right side if you do this. This is the key with these. So when you sew, you want to sew outside of this edge, right? So we include this little seam line, turn, go across, pull the seam allowance out of the way, go across the short end, go across the top, turn, push the seam allowance out of the way, come down, and then meet with where you started. And then that way, when you turn this up, right, and you turn this whole thing right side out, you won't have this raw little edge sticking out of that short end of your welt. So, all right. So let's just look at where, I like to fold this. Sometimes I'll even iron this little marking I made and see where does that line up on here. We want it to be the same. The quilting is kind of a pain. I'm actually going to line it up like this. And maybe I could iron this even. And the stretch. So yeah, we could probably move that a little bit. I'm going to freewheel it here. Let's move all this stuff out of the way though. Okay. I always start in the middle here. Don't start at the end. Start at the middle. I'm going to see, am I to the left of that stitching? Now, even if you've drawn your box and you can feel the flap is not quite lining up with the end of your box, go by the flap, don't go by the box. No, like I said at the beginning, remember I ironed all that interfacing to all those unquilted pieces. So, no, it was fine. I can see my edge of my flap. I just want a nice, even looking thing. All right, so now I'm at the end of this flap, and I want the needle to go off the edge. This is so key. I'm telling you, most welts go wrong because they catch this little seam allowance. Now I'm pushing that seam allowance of the flap out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's the width. Yeah. Okay, and now we're going to sew across the top. Nice straight edge. Just looking at the stitch line. I'm actually going by the original box. And then same thing, we're going to turn right when we're one needle past the end of that welt. And I'm going to push it out of the way, push that seam allowance out of the way, like I just hoik it over. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh! Did you see that? It skipped a stitch. It skipped a stitch. It went doo-doo. Didn't skip. It like gave me double. We're going to pull this back a little bit. I don't like having your start stops at the end here. That's why I always say start here. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, turn the corner and we're going to meet up with where we started. And back stitch. Now before you do anything, evaluate everything here. So let's look at that little square. Let's look on this side. And then we're going to lift it up and look and see how our welt looks right now. Is it a narrow, like a consistent width? Now is the time before you cut anything, right? And now we can cut. So let's cut. And that's it. That's the hard part. That was all. Just doing that box and making sure you don't get that welt. So I'm gonna use my seam ripper to get it started. So now cut your opening here. And I don't cut the welt. So I'm like off of it right now, or the flap, whatever you want to call it. And so here I pick it up. I just separate those layers and I'm only wanting to get the lining on the top, right? Like this. Like this. I'm going to flip it over and now I'm just going to do the jacket. So in other words, I'm not touching that welt cover. There's no reason to cut it up and it'll just be a little fiddly if something goes badly later. And there's just no reason to cut it. Just try not to. You don't have to get like like so close to that corner that you're worried, right? Let's get rid of some of this thread right here because it's near where that back stitch was that I had to do at the end there. We don't really want this bulk. The bulk probably gonna give me a little bit of a trouble. All right, and let's look at it. It's very thick, right? Okay, so now poke your lining through. Pull it to the other side. And give it a good tug. Tug, tug, tug. Yours is probably gonna be a really easy fabric to deal with because you can probably press it and you're not dealing with a stretch and a quilted, right? All right, and then no matter what this looks like, remember you're gonna do this, boop, right? Doesn't this look a different color? It doesn't on camera, but it does in person. Maybe it's the, oh, it's the angle. Oh, wow, when I look at this fabric like this, it has a sheen. When I look at it like this, it goes dull. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So now if you turned your corner right here a little too far, right? So you're seeing the edge of your quilting, your lining right here. It's probably going to be fine, especially if you're doing a fabric that's a little more forgiving than something like this stuff, especially if you're doing like a wool or flannel or something fluffier, because when we secured in the end, you can hand sew this and you would be shocked by the gap that you can bridge together with some hand stitches. And when I do the hand stitches, I always do them from the inside here and I go up. And I also, like when it starts getting more secure, I'll even peel it back like this and look at it like that. You know, kind of like right sides together. So if you can machine, and you're open to it, machine stitch these ends down, I think that's better. I've had to re-sew my Murcot like 3 times now. It's not like I'm, you know, like pushing down. So I just don't think my hand sewing is going to hold up as much. All right, so here we have this little opening here. We want to press this, and then we're going to do some, like we can do some finessing to like edge stitch things. And then, you know, your other pocket just gets sewn to this on these 3 sides, and that's pretty much, you're there, right? So we just want to stabilize this. So because we're going to have this flap here, we can edge stitch this top right here. We can edge stitch this whole opening. You can stitch in the ditch here. There's lots of little things you can do, but you need to decide any top stitching things you're gonna do before you add your lining on. You can edge stitch the ends here through your lining because that won't disrupt the opening, because remember you need your hand to go in there, right? But you can't top stitch this once you've got your lining on. So yeah, so let's do our other one and then we'll do some pressing and we'll finish them up. That was the long version of that. And so now we're going to start over. I can see my, barely my chalk there. Where's my little welt cover? Did I put it aside? Yeah, I did, it's right here. Okay, so I want this down just like that. And we're going to just look at the position of this right now. Hi, Raquel. Iron, no press. Yeah, it's taking the iron fine. I mean, I wouldn't sit there forever, but I unquilted a lot of it, not a lot of it, just the facings. The facings, these welt covers, which are optional. This isn't even optional. This is a mod that I did to this pattern that I'm not using the inseam pockets, which you could do. I took out the facing as well. See, so I took off the because it's double-sided, so it's quite a lot. So I took the batting and the inside off, and I fused ironing. You know what I mean. So All right, right here. Let me check this again now. Because we want to go by this box that's on here. And I just want to make sure that it is roughly in the same place. Oh, there it is, okay. How's it going, Raquel? All right, so we're just gonna stitch this down. Nice and even. Just like that. All right, and double check the width. Make sure it's consistent. If it's not, say this side looks narrower than this side, right? Which means you took too big of a seam allowance here, or just not the same as that side. Don't just take this one bigger. Pop out these stitches right here and pull it down or up, whatever you need to do. You can't just take a bigger seam allowance because you really need to maintain the shape of this rectangle. It's one of those times where you just gotta just go back. And before you've cut anything, it's gonna be probably pretty fine to do that. Just be gentle when you rip your stitches and, you know. All right, so let's look at, let's get this a little more lined up. Like this. It looks a little wonky, and it's probably because of the quilting. Do you have some of this fabric, Raquel? Nice. Oh, nice. Did you do the expanding waist or did you do it without? I'd like to make some without the expanding waist just for fun, you know? All right, so we're gonna fold along that box and see where we're at there. All right, I think I can do that. Oops, I came undone. Remind me to switch thread before I start edge or top stitching things. Y'all, my glasses are not it. I feel like my Mondays at the eye doctor are gonna be back. I've got a low-key headache half the time. I can't, like, I don't know why, but all of a sudden, like, threading is really hard. This is pretty stiff thread, so. Why does the eye of the needle look smaller all of a sudden? It's a size 16 needle. With the expanding, but with the crotch reduced. Yeah, the crotch is a little too long for me. I want to do that too. All right, remember, we're going to start off of the edge of the, well, no, we're not. We're going to start in the middle. I don't know what I was just trying to say to you. You just want to make sure when you turn that you're not turning on the edge of the thing. I'm just checking my box here. I feel like I'm really close to that raw edge. All right, so remember, needle lands off of the welt or the facing. Kind of like a half stitch here, like that. Turn, push the seam allowance of that welt out of the way. Such a key thing. I'm gonna use my awl this time because I can't really grab it. Just yoink it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to stay consistent. Hey, Elena, how's it going? You hear me? Yeah. I just got a new prescription. I just got new glasses. Over it. Nice and parallel. No matter where you drew your box, make sure you're parallel. And you have a nice even box. All right, so here's the end of my flap right here. I can feel it. right? I can feel the bump right there. That's where I want to start turning. Turn. See it right there. Here it is right here, right? So we don't want to catch that seam allowance of the welt. See there, right? So we're pulling it out of the way. So yoink it over. I kind of, can you see that? I'm not sure. See if you can, I can pull it like this. So you see the seam allowance right here? I stab my awl in there and just pull it over like that. That's what I'm doing. Like this. Do my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn and meet up with where we started. Which seems a little different. So I'm going to take out a few of these first stitches. And then actually I might try and enclose that a little bit. Looks a little funny there, but I think we can finesse it since it's thicker. This doesn't look quite like a right angle there, does it? But we're going to cover that up with our flap, so we're not too concerned. All right, so let's take out our pins here. Make sure you don't have any flaps sticking out there. Everything looks still even, but look, I can see my stitching line right there. That's potentially not a problem as long as this width right here is okay. If I don't like it, I could just take it out. I think it would make it wider actually, so we're going to leave it. But it also means, I think I am going to leave it. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. All right, now we're going to cut our hole. And we don't need to cut the flap. All right, pick it up and just do the lining on one side. There we go. If you have trouble getting into the corner with your scissors, this is the other thing I do. I'll take my seam ripper, poke it in at the corner like this, and go toward the welt opening, just like that. Sometimes I cut my whole welt using my seam ripper. You have sometimes more control over it. Like this right here, this is exactly, except the quilting. I would just do that. And it's just because I have more control over it in some ways than I do the scissors. And sometimes the tips of your scissors are just like, they're just not cutting it, literally. Hey Karen, how's it going? Don't let people bully you about you doing stuff like this, like using your seam ripper. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, whatever works for you. All right, so let's pull it through. It always looks kind of like a hot mess when you first do this, so don't panic. Like, look at that, right? But then we're gonna give it a good tug, right? And if it's just still, it just won't clean up like this, we're gonna put it back and we're gonna look at our cuts, right? Let's see, can we get closer? Did we not cut a layer? I actually think we didn't cut a layer there, right here. Yeah, we didn't cut a layer here. You'll probably find something you can do better. I have so many layers with this quilting, I just didn't catch the green layer. See, like that. There we go. Now I've got that, all those layers. Yeah, see, I missed this one too. See that right here? It's a lot of fabric going on there. All right, now poke it through again. Never panic. It's all about finessing sometimes, you know? Okay, tug, tug, tug. Look at that. Looks good now. See that? Tug. All right. My poplin's kind of weak compared to the quilting, so I think I'm definitely going to top stitch this perimeter here. It'll be kind of tricky because normally, I should have told you this a long time ago, I would normally interface the welt opening. I didn't because it's quilted. That's the only reason I didn't do that. And you can do the same on this. That would have been a good idea on here because of the stretch poplin. And I had it cut and everything, so I'm not sure why that didn't happen. So how often do I change it? When it stops cutting. Hey Jan, how's it going? I've had this one for years. I could probably use another one, to be honest. Be careful when you get a new one though. You need one too. Your handle finally fell out. Oh, wow. That's nice. Yeah, they last forever. The seam ripper to beat all seam rippers is the one that comes with the Bernina machine. This is my favorite. I'll tell you, this is my little tip about seam rippers. When they say ergonomic and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. You're not going to hold this for 10 hours a day every day, right? Don't worry about that. Worry about it being easy to hold. Like I used to really like the blue ones because I used to like to be able to put it like this in the palm of my hand and then use it. And I had a lot of control. That's obviously, this is too long for that. If you ever work doing like alterations or something, having a ton of control over your seam ripper is so important because when you're doing alterations, you're usually dealing with somebody else's clothing. It's already been sewn and it's finished. And sometimes it's been worn so much, it's so fragile that any pressure, you're going to cut the fabric, right? So you need to be careful with that. The other thing I look for is something that will not roll off my table. So those ergonomic ones, I had one of those ones, I liked the seam ripper shape. It kept rolling off my table and it had this like soft rubbery stuff in two places on it. If you have one of those and that happens a lot, just take your scissors and cut a chunk out of the rubber stuff and then it'll stop rolling off your table. So I think it's just whatever you like. Whatever you have that you feel the most comfortable with. So yeah, I like this one a lot because it's just the way I like to use it. Like I like to brace it right here. And you always put your thumb here. It's like the proper way to hold a seam ripper. Do I have like a regular one? Like the little blue one? I feel like I do somewhere. But it might be at home or in someone's. Well, like this little guy here, right? So it's kind of like this. So this is so small. I'm pretty sure the blue one's a little longer. You're meant to use this like this. Oh, no, you're not. This doesn't fit and it's cracking. If you have these little guys, oh, I can barely hold this thing now. Excuse me. Brace it in the palm of your hand like this. Put your thumb. This thing's too small for that. You need to be able to, it's kind of like when you're holding chopsticks, you know, you need to brace it and let the thumb do the work. Woo. There's a lot of people that sell the like handmade, like wood turned seam rippers. Just make sure you can swap out the tip, and the tips are going to be available to you, and they're affordable, and the person's not going to like be gone. You know. Yeah, me too, Jan. Okay, let's press this a little bit. Look, it looks like I have welts. Because that's the seam allowance, right? Let's press this a little bit, and then we're going to finish finessing it. I'm going to get this facing too. I only have one light on in here right now because my office is already starting to sort of heat up. So if this is this too dark for you guys? So I am ironing this fabric. It's not like I'm like, you know, hanging out with the iron on it for very long. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna do this from this side. I'm gonna pull this, shape it. Do you think it does, Terry? I can't even tell it's on. I have to like get my hand close to it. I put a little on sticker finally. I was sick of that. I love this iron, but man, it has a few things where I'm just like, why didn't they think of that? You know? I didn't have this last summer, did I? So that is something to kind of look forward to, is the heat of this thing. Okay, that's not too bad. And this is going to go up like that. Yeah, okay. Should put Band-Aids on all my fingers while I iron. Did I tell you guys I burned my arm on this thing the other day? Whew. I was walking by it over here on this side, and so like, see how my iron sits, right? And I was going to the computer right there, and my elbow touched that thing. Oh, now I can't get the camera back to where it was. Whoops. Here, we'll just straighten the iron out rather than move the camera. Sometimes that's easier. Yeah, and I got a big old burn on my forearm, like right here. It doesn't, I don't even know how I got that close to it. Like, it doesn't to me look even possible, you know? Yours is going to be a lot easier to do because you don't have this quilting kind of battling you. Okay, we're going to straighten out this little bubble. There we go. There was this little bubble right here because of the fusible. Okay, there we go. This one I think I would like to iron up a little bit. So I'm going to push the flap up and iron it one more time down here. This one looks nicer. See if we can get this one to look a little nicer. I didn't press this one as much, I think. This is when I should use my little, I have this little like thick thing that I'll put under things, you know. I have a lot of really good tips for doing welts on regular fabrics. And I'm just not sharing those because they're not coming to my mind right now because I'm not working on regular fabric. But especially when you're doing things like where those corners are, you know, the little triangle and stuff. Oh yeah, those magic pins are nice. I think my favorites right now are the bowing. Yeah, it does. It does have different heat settings. But I have trouble grabbing the knob. It really doesn't want to turn. So I put a this little rubber, like a pipe. But it's made of rubber, and you're supposed to use it to change a light bulb on a sewing machine, because you know how sewing machine bulbs are like really close right there. So you push it on top of the bulb, and then you have something to grab onto. I put that on the knob. It works really good. The 2 prongs, those are magic pins. I never use those things. I never use them, Terry. They're really fine. Oh, you notice when it's turned on down? Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. All right, so I think I'm gonna pin this out of the way, all the way around, since the quilting is kind of bullying my lining. Where's my pin cushion? Oh look, I even put them back in their box. Do you want them, Terry? Send me your address. I will send them to you. I don't want to use those big quilting pins on these. This right here. Because of the quilting, I'm just going to pin this and pull it, and so that when I go to top stitch it, it will stay out of the way. Oh, I see. They're really cool. Let me show you what happens when you use them. So, the pin itself, these little prongs, they're not very stiff, so, right? So when I poke this into the fabric, right, let's just put it in this. What'll happen is the prongs will go sometimes really close to each other down here. So if this was even thicker, what'll happen is they will get really narrow sometimes down there, and they'll even be like one pin down there, like they come together. Hey Nathmi, how's it going? So I think they are kind of cool, but they're really lightweight. I'm kind of a brute when it comes to pins, you know? Like, I know I am. Do you use those? Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it was Kate. Hi, how's it going? I am, for some reason, very prone to burning myself. I've always have been. Maybe it's like a lack of what my footprint is on Earth, a lack of awareness. I don't know. It's terrible because I have this, you can see, it's almost healed now, but it's big. It's really big. I have this wedding to go to in May, a theme wedding, and I'm going to do these big butterfly sleeves, and so that's, of course, they're not going to cover that, you know? All right, so I'm just gonna edge stitch around this opening right now. Is that what I want to do? I think I'm just gonna edge stitch around the bottom. That's it. I'm just gonna edge stitch. I'm gonna stitch in the ditch. That's what I'm gonna do. This is not the thread I wanted. Dang it. This is not the thread I wanted. It's too thick. It's not the right color. And I am now committed. And it's not going to look that great. What a bummer. Yeah. Oh well. Why did I do that? Can I take it out? I'm taking it out. I should have stopped. I'm fussing over my welts when I should have just done it and not even fussed about it. You know? They're not even truly welts. Now I'm making it look hard, but it's because I have a size 16 needle in and Tex 40 thread, which is kind of heavy for stitching in the ditch. It's going to be hard to make it not noticeable. And it's just because I was reserving my thread that matches for when I do visible stuff, and then I just forgot to change it. So this is on me. The perks of sewing live. I don't know if I can get this done right here. Yeah, see, I just don't feel like my glasses are as good as they were. I don't know why. I just don't feel like the whole eye thing is taken as seriously as it should be when you're there. Like, it's literally vision. Drink. And the thing is, I really don't take it for granted. Like, I'm so thankful, you know? It just feels like the eye doctor places do kind of take it for granted. I don't know. All right. That went pretty good. I did not hurt my quilting fabric, which is great. This right here is on the lining, which is great. I can grab it there. Okay. So this is my plan. I'm gonna, what am I gonna do? What do I want? What do I want? Microtex needles are great for top stitching. They're great for top stitching. So they are not for knits. You want a jersey or a stretch needle for knits. Microtex is great for precision. So there's a whole thing about it in the SBS, I think, January, there's a cheat sheet. You have the time, I feel like, yeah, you have the time, you feel like, yeah, I tried to get contacts last year. What a joke. There's no way. Yeah. Yeah, and tightly woven needles, yeah, rayon, things like that. Think of it as something where the hole, it needs to be smaller, even though you're not using really a smaller needle, and you're going to get more even stitches and straighter lines. That's the way I look at it. Let's change the thread. I've got this thread that looks a lot better. Yeah, cotton lawn, that would be a good choice. You want jersey or stretch. You want a jersey needle for just about all stretch fabrics. If you're using a fabric that has something like spandex or lycra in it, or swimwear, especially like a high quantity of that kind of stretch material in it, then you want a stretch needle because it's been made to deal with those kinds of fabrics. They're both ballpoint, and the ballpoint idea is so that it'll feel sharp. Like, don't think a ballpoint needle feels dull. It still feels just as sharp as your regular needles, that it's been made to push the fibers aside when it pierces the fabric, and it doesn't cut the fabric. And so like with wovens, you can pierce the fabric and like sever one of your threads weaving the fabric, and nothing's going to happen. The fabric's pretty much going to stay intact, right? Because you're not making this gigantic hole. When you do that in knits, it will make it run, you know, like nylons. If you cut a thread, you're literally going to create a run in your fabric. Okay. I'm going to stitch in the ditch again. I still have my chonky needle, but I have a finer thread. So let's just hope I be more accurate, and it'll be easier to stay accurate with the thinner thread. Oh wait, I need to get rid of this. I didn't grab that piece of thread there. A lot easier. Okay. And now we're going to add a lining. Yeah, like this one here. Yeah. I'm gonna have to pin all this again. You don't have to really finish your edge of your pocket if it's a lined jacket. So I'm just going to sew it right sides together around the edge. Oh yeah, the spoonflower fabrics are really unforgiving for a needle hole. The knits are fine, but all those, yeah, like those smooth fabrics like the lawn, petal, the linen cotton canvas is fine, the cypress, the twill. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, for the Liberty, like the Tana lawn, I'd probably use a 10, size 10 needle, maybe even an 8, depending on what you're making. All right, so now I'm going to stitch all the way through all my layers, even my lining, because I don't mind. And we're going to, so you don't have to stitch your flap down with a machine stitch. I'm going to, but you could just, if you want, just do your 3 sides. If you need to do this, pick this up, pull it apart. You see there's my little triangle right there. Boop. And you could sew straight across this right here. If you don't want any visible stitching, it just depends on what kind of your project is, right? So give this a nice little tug, kind of arrange it, make sure you stitch really straight, and then you could stitch right on top of that, and it will secure your opening at either end. So you need to do one or the other, either stitch on the outside or stitch on the inside to secure your opening all the way through all the layers. It'll make your pocket a lot nicer. And it'll also make it so that you can't see like this, you can't do that, right? I just saw my back stitch thread, so I'm gonna get rid of. All right, so I'm gonna stitch right through my end of my welt. Most people will hand sew this. Oh, I need to do the top of my pocket. This is what's wrong with me being instructional sometimes. I don't know what I'm gonna be talking about sometimes. I don't practice or anything, and it just takes too long for me to do something, and I'm not like doing it in my natural cadence. Sorry. I'm gonna do the top of my pocket first, which is underneath there. All right, so we're gonna give this a nice little tug. My poplin is so lightweight. Maintain this opening nicely. And I'm just gonna stitch right through the top of this pocket. And you could do the 3 sides if you want, but I'm just gonna do that because I want to secure my ends down. I don't want to hand sew them. I'm getting these little like tails of thread. That's really annoying. The bottom is a little tighter, so let's pull that a little bit so it doesn't look like it's at an angle. Definitely could have done a better job, but I'm glad this one's done. It's these little thread tails I keep getting. My old machine used to do that same thing. There we go. All right, there's one. Let's finish up this other one a little quicker. So this one I'm going to stitch in the ditch. I'm not going to pin it all this time since I'm only stitching in the ditch. Ditch, I said ditch. Come on, get in there. Nothing like hearing that size 18 needle, huh? Okay. Right sides together. Yeah, that cotton lawn. I used to use their poplin. The lawn isn't nearly as tightly woven as that. Well, it's not nearly, that's kind of exaggerating, but the lawn is a little bit like, it's lighter weight than the poplin. The poplin is, that's the fabric I had the mishap with the binding machine. It was great for binding because it was so crisp, but our binding machine, it was like the ink made it lose traction, like it grabbed it, or it was too grabby. It just didn't want to go through the machine very well. And so we would have to gently pull it to kind of keep it feeding, you know. I like the lawn. I think the lawn's nice. I mean, if you want like a lightweight, like if you want a garment weight fabric for like a blouse with gathers and stuff, and you don't want it to be stiff, I think the lawn is great. The petal is a little bit more like quilting cotton. If you got the lawn and you don't have a background color, it's gonna feel like just really nice fabric, I think. You keep thinking I'm using this right there because a spool looking thing on the top left of your machine. Oh, this right here. No, that's my thread over there. Tiny little thing. Hospital gown. Really? That's interesting. I would think the poplin would have felt like that for me. All right. Line up this pocket here. Hospital gowns. Oof. All right, so we're gonna top stitch the top pocket right here. This lawn is, or this fabric, this lining fabric is, it's a little lightweight, you know. This is just securing it. I could actually do this from the inside, by the way. I should have oh, you could hear you coming in. Should have showed you, like, you can just peel this up like this and do it from the inside. That's actually really, here, I'll do that because it's actually a really clean way to do this. I just know that this won't show because of the flap, so that's why I was doing it from the right side. Because I actually rarely do that. Oh, I got a little oil on there. So what you do is you pick this up and just make sure you maintain this opening right here, right? You can even like hold it down like this, pick up your fabric, grab the seam allowance right here, right? And then you can stitch on the inside of your garment like this. And I'm just gonna give it a quick peek. It's just harder to maintain your opening. Like that. And then it's secure up here. See that? Looks kind of nice. All right, and so now I'm going to stitch the ends down. I have to admit, the quilting, when it doesn't have all the thickness, it's a little whooshy, like it keeps trying to get away from me. I'm seeing my bobbin thread, which should be the same color, or maybe it's I'm seeing something lighter, like I see it right there too. That might be my lining right there. We'll fix that later. We need to keep moving here. All right. Yeah. I made those look hard, didn't I? Really, Alina? Wow. Have you, when was the last time you used it? They've changed their lawns so many times. They had one that was kind of scratchy for a while, and I didn't really like it. Because right now, the one they have still it says beta, which is interesting. I'm pretty sure it still says beta. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get rid of these pins. We got our fronts. Let's secure this down here. This one lined up a little better than the other one. Okay. Next, last year. Oh, it is out of beta? Oh, God, I swear I thought I saw it say beta the other day. I was like, geez. Maybe I just stopped seeing it. You know, like it had been in beta for so long. All right, so now we're on to step 7, if you're sewing this. Can you please stick there? We're gonna get our rib knit out. We have the waistband here. We're going to sew this right sides together to those facing pieces that we did earlier. My ribbing has a right and wrong side. So we're going to put the long straight edge to the front here of the ribbing. Right. So like this. So see how my front is? This, like this. Why isn't that's not sticking to the fabric? Wow. Okay, let me make sure. Okay. When did we do the side seams? Did I miss that? I think I was supposed to sew the side seams together. Probably when you do the pockets. All right, so we'll do that in a second. All right, so we're gonna sew these right sides together. How's this gonna work? This edge right here can't be like that. Wait, if I do this like raw edge to raw edge like that, and like that, huh? Show the hemband to the jacket, the hem, right side's facing. The band is a little shorter than the hem of the jacket. The band is a little short. Oh, okay, yeah. But what about this raw edge right here? Oh, are we gonna do that with a... Wait, what? Okay, I'm kind of lost. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So if I do this like this, right? Yeah. And then we have this, we have a raw edge, right? And so my thinking is that you're supposed to sew, so this edge must go to the lining. So both of these edges don't go to the band bottom, just this one here. Just this one here. Yeah, I just want to make sure because that's, I think I would do this a little differently. Wait, where's the lining? Oh, that's interesting. We are sewing the lining to the bottom of the rib. First, turn the jacket with the wrong side out, through the hole in the sleeve lining. So the bottom edge of the lining to the jacket and rib through all layers. But this edge right here has been sewn to a facing. That right there has been sewn to a facing though. I trust it'll all work. Where do you join the lining to the facing though? That's what I want right here. So the lining to the edge of the facing, right sides together. So all the way around the hem, along the front facing and back down to the hem. Oh, wait. Okay, so this right here isn't, and then you stitch them together. Now we're sewing the lining to the bottom of the rib. We already did that. All right, I'm just gonna trust this. But I'm nervous. Okay. All right. So let's see, which one do I have here? I have this one. All right, so we're gonna put this one to here. Like I just don't see anywhere where you're dealing with the corner that we're about to create. We're about to create a corner. And corners are tricky to deal with, you know? So now we have a corner right here. I know now you're interested, aren't you? You were like, I wasn't into this bomber jacket, but now that it's hard, now that she might make a mistake. I know you guys. Okay, let's get rid of this little batting edge that's hanging off here. All right, let's do the side seams of the jacket because I missed that step. Probably because it was in the pocket when you do the side seam pockets. Okay, thanks, Kate. Good thing she didn't have me do this one, huh? All right, so I don't want any tucks in my lining. So we're gonna hold this. I feel like I might get some. Ooh, it's a little thick. That stitch length, man. We're gonna go from the bottom up. Now that I've done that. Okay. This is also why I didn't do the side seam pockets, because of the thickness of the fabric. I thought it might look a little bulky there, you know, so I thought the welts would take away that bulk at the side seam there. That's better. We got a tuck right there. It's on this one right here. There it is. So we're just going to pull it out right here. Get rid of that tuck right there. Well, we might have to take out a little bit more. I can hear the person 2 doors down laughing in her office with the door shut. Must be funny. All right, let's see. Look at the little, can you see that? Look at the way the seam looks. I kind of love it. Looks like a little caterpillar. I just watched this series on, oh, I got it again. Blurg. Right here. I just watched this series on Netflix. Wait, was that Netflix? It just came out. It's only 4 episodes. And it was kind of weird. Oh no, I could not use a razor. There are people though that they cannot use a seam ripper. They like a razor. There's no way I could do that. You can't cut your seam right here. You'd have to do it from here, and no thanks. My hat is off to those folks. Yeah. I've heard so many bad things that have happened with razors, more than seam rippers. But, you know, some people that like just might be the way they feel they have more control, or they do have more control, is when they hold something like this between their fingers. So, like, I have nothing against doing it. You know, there's a lot of really subtle things about humans that come into play that we don't even think about. Like, one of the things I notice is that my middle finger, look at how much longer it is than my pointer. That changes the way I do things. Like I grab things like this. I don't grab things like this. This finger's too short. So, you know, I think that if your hands are just different, right? It could also be due to like, what if you have a repetitive motion issue and you don't have the grip strength that you do when you're holding it a different way. So it's so great that there's options out there. I don't think telling a legion of people to forget seam rippers and save money to buy a razor is a great message, but I think that it's more like, hey, if seam rippers don't work for you, try using a razor. I think that's a better message, you know. You know, razors probably existed way before seam rippers did. There's a reason someone invented the seam ripper. You know? I know. They really do. Sorry, I'm taking out a little bit more than... I just need to ease that tuck in there better. And now I have like a couple of extra back stitches. I don't like just keep adding back stitches sometimes because then it just adds this weird bulk there. So I just got rid of those. All right, so where is the... Which is it? It's this one that's getting the tuck, right? There it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so we're gonna... Oh, wait. Is this the tuck? Wait a minute. Where's the tuck? Oh, it's down here. Okay, that's like something that looks like a tuck right there, but it's like the floof of the fabric. We're gonna ignore that one. We're trying to smooth out this one. And we got it going from bottom up. So we're gonna start from top and go down. Oh yeah, Sydney. Oh yeah, that people tell me to do that all the time, and I'm like, I can't do that. That's a razor. And I've definitely had people insist on it, and I'm like, no, I just can't do that. Like, it's fine if you do that. That's totally fine. Like, I don't say anything against it. It just doesn't work for me. I've been holding one of these since I was 14 years old. So even if this wasn't the best tool for me at the time, I've adapted, and it's what I use now. Aw, that's awesome, Terry. What are they making? Like, what kind of chicken are they making? I love that. You are giving them a gift by giving them some cooking skills. I could have used some of those. Okay, there we go. Phew. Oh yeah, totally. I think the downtown tailoring genius woman, I think she uses a razor. She is so good with that razor. I've actually stopped to marvel at that before. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. To each their own. It's like trying to get someone who's been doing anything for a really long time to all of a sudden just start doing something different, you know? Seam rippers weren't invented because they wanted to upsell us. You know? Baked chicken rice, sounds perfect. My daughter has gotten so into baking lately, you guys. Like legit bread baking. Like incredible. Like she's a natural at it. And I'm so floored because I raised her baking. Like we baked a lot. Like I have pictures of my daughter baking, wearing an apron and nothing else. And she was, you know, 15 months old, like standing there on the step stool next to the mixer baking. We've been baking since forever. I never baked bread. Maybe like banana bread or zucchini bread, fine, but not bread. So it's really interesting that this is what's been calling to her, because while I baked a ton with her, I didn't do this. I don't have any skills in this. I use a bread machine that I've had since before she was born to make my dough. Like, that's how cheesy I am about making bread. I use the bread machine. I never bake anything in it. It is so old, but the dough function works amazing. And so, you know, it mixes everything up. It proofs it, makes me a perfect ball of dough. I make pizza, calzone, whatever. Never bread. So the fact that this is where she has landed, I'm so impressed. Like, I have to sometimes I have to brag to you guys and show you the pictures of the things she's shown me. I'm like, you made that? It's nuts. Seam Reaper. I can barely say that. So yeah. He's a razor too. Yeah, I mean, it is handy, right? Everyone has one. Okay, so yes, then we just do this right sides together. So the hemband to the jacket. All right. So you see that? So we have our jacket, facing, ribbing. We're just going to do this bottom edge here. Catch your pocket if you did the pocket I did, or whatever kind of pocket you did. Press this seam allowance towards, wait, it said just which way to push this. And we definitely want to push this the right way. Sometimes this magnet thing is not great. It's better when I just have it on the screen. Press the seam allowance towards the hem band. So press it that way. And we're gonna have to ease this on most likely. So hopefully you have the center marked. We're gonna mark the center back. Okay, mark your center back. Mark your center back of your rib. Should have done this, I know, already. I think I already marked this, didn't I? But I think I used a chalk and I knew it would disappear. So mark your center back of your rib. Like that. Put those two together so you have like a halfway point. All right. Hey Janice, how's it going? Working from home, watching live streams, we won't tell. It's nice to see you. Okay. Probably won't have to stretch it very much. There's a lot going on here. The thickness, the pocket. I'm pressing my side seam towards the back. This won't be hard to stretch on or anything. Okay, there's center. See, it's not that much. It's like barely stretching. So I just kind of stretch out the whole thing, put my hand on it, hold it halfway, and then just keep this raw edge lined up. I hope you're not making this out of quilting. It definitely adds a layer. I saw that Diane got this pattern too, and she and I already have matching crop jackets. I'm like, do you want some quilted fabric? Because apparently I still have 2.5 yards of this stuff. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to check my center fronts right now to make sure that they're the same length since we just sewed that hem on there. Okay, a little bit different. See that? A little bit different. So it's good to know that. My quilting on this one's a little bit low though. We have to do a zipper to this. That's why I'm checking, yes. Okay, I think that's looks good. Okay. Hi Ray, how's it going? Nice. Did you get this white thread? Oh no. No white thread, but $90 of other stuff. Winning for sure. Okay, we're gonna do the shoulder seams. And we're gonna do our facing together. There's a lot of moving parts here. All right, let's do our shoulder seam. Remember to line it up on the seam line. Oof, don't fall off like that. Okay, there we go. Here's the other one. That's a bummer, yeah, your fabric store closed and you didn't even know. Definitely a little worried about some fabric stores. Check the seam. Just making sure I don't get really big tucks. Because see where this quilting, right, like see how that wants to tuck? It didn't, see? But it wants to. And I can kind of finesse that, right? I can kind of scratch it out and it'll be fine. And plus, you know, when wearing it, that's not a big deal, but I just didn't want a really gigantic tucks. Oh, you got some of the Tyrael Magic. I still have that in a reminder. Okay, and now we're going to take this facing here, this one, and we're not going to twist it. And we're going to sew this right sides together to our back neck facing. See, there it is. And yes, my interfacing is off. I explained why at the beginning. I'm going to pin this so I know I don't get it twisted. This might be a good time to put a... Does the facing get sewn to this? I love facings that do that. Cool. Yeah, apparently it's like a spray that will stabilize your knits, so it makes them a little easier to sew, Karen. I think the size 16 needle, a little overkill today. It might be helpful later on, but it does feel a little like when on this facing. Maybe it doesn't on the quilting though, so maybe it's been fine. I'm not going to switch my needle back and forth. I'm having a little trouble making this one match. Yikes. Okay, so now we're to the zipper. Oh, we have the rib collar too. One thing about Wardrobe by Me instructions is I have to make sure I finish reading the whole step, because you can miss, because she highlights the main part of the step, right? And then it'll say, sew side seams together. And there's no picture of that. You don't need a picture of sewing your side seams together, so I'm fine with that. But I have to read through. So you do it in the same order. Okay. Okay. Do I want to do the zipper right now? What time is it? It's already 1. Probably not. We could start with but when we start with these big things, I always mess up. Right? That is the halfway point we said we'd get to, at least. I want to try it on. I think I'm gonna like this color. I love this color. All right. Oh, it's a little statically charged though. Oh, and look, we have the ribbing on the bottom. What do we think of the gray? It'll work, right? Oh, and look, I made a new shirt. I made the Ellsworth. What do you think? Got my cuffed jeans and Vans on today. It's like some spring clothing. I love spring when you get to do the rolled up jeans. All right. So our next step is going to be, we're going to take this rib collar, right? It's going to go wrong sides together. Wrong sides together. Like this. Lay it here. And I think it lines up. No. It does not line up. Lines up. Oh. Oh. It lines up like this. Okay, but we want this 5/8 from the edge, like this. Right? We're going to put the zipper in. We're going to go across. And we're going to get this really cool feature where it was going to look like that. Right? Gonna look good. There is a video. I made it in, I think November, and it's plaid. I made it for hearts. So there's a video. There's a series. It's a fun one. The one I made in the plaid was a stretch poplin. It was really stiff. Princess seams and adjustments. Auburn blazer. I adjusted weight. Yeah. Right? That has princess seams, and I did a small bust adjustment on it. Ironically. Yeah, so anyway, that poplin, I did the plaid and the poplin, it was much stiffer. And so this is a linen, so it's much drapier. The other one stuck out, like really stuck out. If you did this in a rayon, look at how wide it is. If you did this in a rayon, it would be even more drapey. And so the other thing I did was I interfaced the hem facing. So that made it stiffer. You don't have to do that. Yeah, I don't know, Sydney. I feel like I have made another, princess seam. I love princess seams, so it's kind of funny that I haven't hardly made many things with them. I just can't think of anything else. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. You know, I think that this would benefit from a tower placket, though, because this is, you know, like I would like it to be, I don't want my elbow poking out the hole. I'm not a big fan of cut-on sleeves, but I'll say it again. This one works because they're really narrow. I also didn't cut my buttonholes on these two. I made the buttonhole, but I didn't cut them. I just sewed the button right through. Yeah, I can't think of any other princess seams. Yeah, sorry. If one comes to me, I'll message you. All right, so Saturday is going to be a packed day of sewing on this jacket. It might be a little bit longer of a stream. Do I have a Zoom on Saturday? I might. So if you're sewing along with me, you have time to get caught up. I really dragged out that welt pocket thing, so you should be able to do those a lot faster than I did. Did you make a navy print dress with princess seams? Yes! Yes, the blue A dress. Yes, Mafio. Yeah, the Blue A Dress. You're right. Good memory. The Blue A Dress by Deer and Doe. I made it into a top too, but I didn't do that on camera, I don't think. There's a lot of cashmere patterns with princess seams, and that's what I've been trying to think. Did I make any more of those? They're really useful. Oh, I haven't made that vest. Invigado. Invigado. What does that mean? Invigado. I just learned a word the other day. What was it? And I was surprised by it. It was a Spanish word that I had never heard before. Does anyone speak Spanish here? So there's this like one expression, and like say you say something and they want to know, they want you to repeat it. They'll go Monday, Monday, if we were in English, if someone said something and you wanted to repeat it, we'd say excuse me, or what, or can you say that again? So I have two friends that I talk to a lot, and they will speak Spanish to each other a lot. And they say, he says this. She doesn't, he does. Well, she does too. He says Monday, and I'd never heard this before. And I've been around a lot of Spanish speakers, and I've studied a lot of Spanish, and I've never heard Monday. And I didn't know if it was slang, if it was short for something. Yes. Monday. Mm-hmm. You know what it means with the vest is fantastic. You hablo? Yeah. They are Mexican Spanish speaking. And so the other day I was at a store and someone came in to do a delivery and he was talking to the clerk and she said Monday. And I was like, oh my gosh. So to me, I was thinking, okay, this is an East Coast like thing because, and I'm in California. That's what I was thinking, Jan, exactly. I was thinking it was a regional dialect, and I'm not sure where he's from in Mexico. Is like, tell me what to do. Oh. So it's not really like, please repeat that, or pardon me. I mean, I know those expressions. That's why I was kind of puzzled. So what is the verb for Monday? Mandar. Send an email, for example, so maybe it means send. Oh no, that's interesting. Oh, this is I'm so glad I'm finally asking. The verb is mandar, to give a command to. Well, that's interesting that that's been tied to the, for email. Email can be really commanding. Okay, so because when he says that to her, that could totally be in that context of, wait, what are you telling me to do? Like, tell me to do that again. So it's interesting because I can't see them usually. I'm usually talking to them like not visual, like we don't see each other when we're talking. It's like a phone or a chat. Yeah. Internets also say Mondays. Oh, okay, interesting. Also is send. Oh, okay, thank you. Thanks, you guys. Resend me what you said. Yeah, or, well, I could see it being like, you know, what are you asking of me? Like, because it's always polite. That's the other thing about this, like the context they've gotten about it as well, is that it's not, it's a polite, I can tell it's a polite version. That's what I'm thinking too. It's very polite. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Because that's the other thing, which is so interesting to me because, well, for two reasons. Because, you know, you would get the context if it was a little bit more like, like, what are you asking of me? Rather than, oh, wait, what do I need to do to please you? You know, like it feels very much like that. He's very polite to his girlfriend. And so that makes sense. Okay. And it's interesting because Spanish has this formal version of it. I never hear them use any kind of formal way, you know, like they would never use like vosotros for their way of addressing me or someone else. Mande. So it's like she'll say, you know, did you take the dogs out? And he'll say, Mande? Did you take the dogs out? Mande? And I couldn't tell if he was asking, I didn't hear what you said, but really what he's saying is, wait, what are you asking of me? You know, so, okay, cool. Thank you. I was messaging him the other day and he came back at me with a word. Oh, it's more from Spain. Okay, see, now I learned Spanish because I learned in school. Because anytime I would speak with people in Spanish, I was very overly formal, is what I learned. I was overly formal. And I was always saying, if someone was older than me or someone was more experienced than me, or I didn't know them well, I always used the vosotros form or something kind of like, you know, just out of respect, right? I would always say it with that kind of verb tense. So, and they would always be very like, oh, you don't need to talk to me like that. Like I was like it was too much. So yeah, exactly, Sydney. It's a polite way to ask. Okay. He is kind of a punk. So I love that he is only a punk to me and he's very, very polite to his girlfriend. So cool. Thanks for the lesson. I appreciate it. I'm not going to ask him because, like I say, he's kind of a punk sometimes. Instead, yeah, I would always say, you know, usted or ustedes. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that in most cases when I would use the usted form, they would be like sheepishly pleased that I would do that, right? They would be fine with it, but they would be like, you really don't need to be so formal with me. Eventually they would say that. Other people would take it like I was being disrespectful by using it. You know what I mean? Like that I was making fun of them. And I wasn't. I was always very, you know me, I was always very polite. So, and one of the factories I worked at had people from all over. It was so amazing. And my boss, he spoke French. He was French. So he spoke 5 languages, French being his native tongue. He was really fascinated by languages, and I was too. I'm not very good at them. I've only studied Spanish and French. I hadn't at the time. I'd only studied high school Spanish at the time, so my Spanish was okay. It wasn't that great. And yeah, that's it, condescending. They thought I was being condescending sometimes. They would learn I wasn't. They just would learn that, you know, it's definitely student Spanish. But he was really good at pointing out to me and asking people, like, what's your word for this? He loved hanging out with the people that spoke Portuguese, and that was such a treat to hear the Portuguese. And he would like say, look, listen, you know, they do the zh, you know, this very interesting. He was really good at pointing those things out to me. I also hang out with someone who has no accent whatsoever, has been born and raised here in the United States, but his whole family is Portuguese, and he speaks fluent Portuguese, and he speaks in Portuguese often in front of me, and it is so incredible because I don't get to hear that very much. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for the lesson. I appreciate it. Cool. All right. I'll see you Saturday. Hasta el sábado. And hopefully if you're sewing this, you get caught up with me because I did not sew that much today. So it won't be too hard. We have a lot to do on Saturday. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. All right. I see you guys Saturday.